An electronic circuit board is a computer component which can produce spectacularly realistic scenes. Animating this particular three-dimensional graphic took 4 months of work by artists and programmers with the aid of a G400 graphic processor by Matrox. A printed circuit board can be compared to a building composed of fiberglass floors, copper passageways, and stairs that link the floors between them. Cards are assembled with two technologies, surface wiring and wiring through the card. The components are placed into the holes and soldered into place. A stencil is used to apply soldering paste onto the card. This paste will solder the surface components. Here they place the stencil into the printing unit. It is through these holes that the soldering paste will run. The machine spreads the soldering paste, which contains, among other elements, a tin lead alloy. The printing blades go into action. They spread the soldering paste on the stencil. This paste runs through the stencil holes and covers the metallic surfaces of the printed circuit board, which will establish the electric current. Here's the difference between an unprinted card and another printed one. The unprinted card surface is much more shiny. Now they're going to install the surface wiring elements. They are automatically positioned by this rapid placement machine. About 36,000 components are installed per hour, making it about 10 a second. This incredibly sophisticated machine is equipped with a viewing camera which verifies the alignment and dimensions of each part before installation. It unerringly positions the part at the exact spot. Another machine, slightly less precise than the previous one, installs parts where the space between two placement points is less than 0.5 millimeters. It can install 8,000 parts in 60 minutes. The card continues on its way toward the oven, which accomplishes an essential operation. Once the parts are secured, the card goes into a convection oven where the heat will solder the parts to the card. Different circuit connectors through the card are inserted into their respective holes. This operation requires great dexterity and is entirely done by hand. Then the metallic placement points need to be soldered to this card. The soldering of the circuit components through the card is done with a bath of molten tin lead alloy at a temperature of 240 degrees centigrade. Now everything is installed. They have to do an initial electrical test. The card is placed on a bed of electrified pegs. These pegs make contact with the card's connecting points, allowing them to check for short circuits or open circuits in the card. And then a final test, a computer-aided operating test to see if the card is functioning perfectly. This company fabricates 200 models of different circuit boards and produces about 4,000 cards each week. It takes about 90 minutes to assemble a computer. Its hard drive disk saves information transmitted to it for a long time. The reading head reads the information. It is extremely precise. The space between the reading head and the hard disk is as thin as a hair. The hard disk is installed in its position within the computer. there are two other units which safeguard information: the removable 3-inch disc reader and the CD-ROM reader, which allows for the reading and execution of programs recorded on compact discs. These two units are placed into position. The spinal column of the computer is the motherboard. It is to this unit that the other elements of the computer are connected. This cooler dissipates the heat generated by the chipset. Certain sound cards are integrated directly on the motherboard. These connections, in sequence, are the audio input, its output, and the microphone port. This AGP retaining ring secures the video card during transport. This thermal unit measures the temperature emitted between the processor and the motherboard. The processor is the brain of the system. It interprets, calculates, and executes the instructions given to it. The processor has several millions of transistors, and its cadence, its operating speed, reaches the gigahertz level. The processor rests on this base. The processor's cooler dissipates the intense heat. Its efficiency depends on the type of material used, and a conducting material assures better cooling. The RAM memory stores short-term information, but erases it when the current is turned off. This memory is more rapid than that of the hard disk or the CD-ROM. Now they integrate everything in the case. It protects the internal elements from the external elements. At this stage, they install the electronic components in this case. Several connectors of the case are connected to the motherboard, such as the commutator and various light indicators. This is the output connection for the video card, which links the computer to the monitor. We also see the video chip, which creates images in 2 and 3 dimensions. Here is the video memory. The more its capacity is increased, the clearer will be the image displayed on the monitor. The video card is placed into its position. The modem allows two computers to communicate. Its condensers produce the perfectly clean phone signal to facilitate communications. These modem chip connectors control information circulating between the two computers. The fax modem is installed. The power supply transforms electricity according to the voltage required by the different components. The computer's interior cabling is installed. It allows information to travel between the different media and the motherboard. The IDE cable is connected and the CD-ROM. The last electrical wires are connected to different computer components. The assembly of 30 components of the computer is now finished. Just before closing the case, they test each computer to verify the good functioning of the peripherals. Then they close up and proceed to packaging. This company produces about 300 computer units every day.